Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's coaching methods and coaching team have been slammed by senior players at the club, according to a big report in The Athletic this morning. A number of concerns raised over the approach, the quality of training, and the fact that the coaching staff lack people that have coached at the elite level. They may have people such as Michael Carrick that have played there, but that is very different from coaching indeed. This is coupled, though, in the report that there is still major respect for Ole Gunnar Solskjær and a lot of love placed towards him from the players. This is why Ole, as it stands, hasn't lost the dressing room in many people's eyes. But the question remains, with the squad becoming more serious, with the squad wanting to win now that they feel they have the players from front to back that should allow them to compete for the Premier League and the Champions League, how much longer can Ole continue to have his players frustrated at elements of his setup before they do turn their back on him? I want your thoughts. I want your feelings. Make sure you smash that like and share button. It's the Done Deal Show. Let's go. Good morning. Welcome back to the terrace, everybody. I hope you're doing well. Interesting news, big report from The Athletic this morning. It delves into what I look at as the good, the bad, and the ugly at Manchester United at this moment in time. Big concerns from senior players over the quality of coaching and the approach of coaches such as Kieran McKenna. But there's also still a lot of consistent messages coming out of the club that the players get along with Ole and they want him to be successful. The man management skills of Ole, again, shining through as he's, as his biggest asset. One of the things that the Ole outers don't like is the fact that most people at the club look at Ole as a good man manager, a good coach, someone that's fair. Even with the Donny van der Beek news and problems here, problem there circulating, the message has remained consistent that they have faith in him, they like him, they want to work for him, and they want him to be successful. And that's very, very key. But my question this morning is, how long can this last? How long can they keep faith with Ole if the coaching staff, the methods of training, the lack of elite level, experienced coaching staff is lacking? The quote here that I'm going to put up on the screen now, this is from the Athletic. United report have shared it. You can read the article in the Athletic. It says here, several senior Man United players are said to feel that training could be led by coaches with greater elite experience. McKenna's approach can at times be school mastery. You then see this quote here, which I'll put up in big, which is, in the dressing room, the message is consistent. The consistent message is that Man United players do get along with Ole and want him to be successful. This has clearly been spoken about on many occasions. But from my point of view, when you add Ronaldos, when you add Varanes, when you add more young talent like Jadon, Sancho, when you have Bruno and Rashford performing at title-winning levels, the amount of goals they score, the amount of games they impact, they want to be winning. The coaching is the issue here. As we've said before, the lack of intensity and shape to our play at times is key. People speak about patterns and triangles, and I sometimes think that's slightly overplayed because we do it well at times in games. A better coaching setup and a better setup around them, of course, it will improve the way we play. But we're talking fine margins here. Ole needs to make a change, and he needs to make a change soon, in my opinion. If he doesn't, he'll lose his dressing room. If he doesn't make that change, if more intensity, if better training isn't introduced soon, he'll lose this group. This group, you can see it. They feel they should be at the very least competing with the big boys domestically and in Europe. If they don't get out of this team what they want out of this team, there's two options. We stop playing for the manager, or we stop playing for the club. That's inevitable. Inevitable that is going to happen. with the current trajectory and the space the club's in. The irony in it is that a lot of Ollie's fans will say, but we've improved, but we're moving forward. And more points this season, better squad this season, let's give it time. The players don't want to wait around for that. The players have a limited career. They have a limited amount of time, especially when you're at the age of Bruno and above, Pogba and above, definitely Cavani and Cristiano Ronaldo. And just to name those 4 players there, 2 of the best strikers in the world and 2 of the best midfield players in the world. They want to win, and they want to win now. The difference between Man United winning Premier Leagues and finishing 10 to 15 points off the top is marginal. It actually is marginal. Better elite coaching, sessions that are more fun but generate more intensity, and then a better shape when we're attacking a move. And I'm not talking about the patterns of play. That phrase is so overused. I'm talking about ensuring that holes in the team are covered. We're not overcommitting, that we're working hard via intensity to get back into defensive positions when we do lose the ball. The way Man United are obliterated on the counter-attack is, for me, a coaching issue. It doesn't surprise me that I'm seeing players complaining about the coaching standards at Man United. We have good coaching standards, maybe even very good, but we need elite level with this elite squad, because you're competing up against Chelsea, Liverpool and City that are 2 of the very best teams in the world. Ollie's got to change it, and he has to change it soon. It's as simple as that for me. It really is as simple as that. Let's go to some of your comments that are coming through here. Wake up and smell the coffee, Terry. It's Ollie inners who keep this manager in, and Glazers allow it because the guys like you were scared to say Ollie out. Zaza, I respectfully disagree. It's never been about Ollie in, Ollie out for me. It's what are the club willing to do about it. This is where it's not about fans. Fans can defend him. Fans can be against him. This is about the owners. Don't deter away from the Glazers. Saying Ollie out doesn't make the Glazers sack Ollie. Saying Ollie in doesn't make the Glazers keep Ollie. If Ollie achieves top 4, they keep him. If Ollie doesn't make top 4, they sack him, irrespective of fan noise. If LVG had won the FA Cup and finished 4th, he would not have been sacked. He wouldn't have been. Simple as that. David Moyes, they could have saved our season 2 months, 3 months earlier, but they waited for him to mathematically not be able to qualify for the Champions League, and they got rid of him. Jose's situation was slightly different because the levels of toxicity at the club had become unpalatable. However, Ollie is not in the club because of Ollie inners, and Ollie won't be sacked because of Ollie outers. It's about the club increasing its standards. It's about the club having a higher ceiling of expectations for its managers. They're telling us they've got that. The players here are asking for it. We need to improve. Ollie can save his job here, Zaza. If Ollie brings in better coaching staff, you may see all these things improve. You may see all these things improve. But if Ollie dies on this hill and keeps the coaching staff that senior players are not happy with and doesn't add anything new, he could cost himself his own job. It's as simple as that for me. What we should be aiming for as fans is the club to have the highest possible standards. The club should be listening to its players. If they're saying we're not happy with training, we're not throwing Ollie under the bus, we're still working hard, we want Ollie to be successful, we love how he orchestrates and manages, but we just want better coaching. That's the focus here for me. Legendary Villian says, we do not have good coaching standards when Villarreal, Everton, Villa and Young Boys, etc. have outplayed us this season. We have schoolboy coaches at best. And I'm talking, I think we do have good coaches. Maybe very good was a bit of a stretch. Maybe you're right there. They're obviously better than schoolboy coaches. I know we're being overly flippant with that. I'm talking at the elite level, they're good. But actually, you need better than good. You need better than good. You need exceptional, elite level coaches. So again, we can argue Legendary Villain over language, but the point remains the same. We just need elite coaches. And they don't even need to be elite in name. I don't need to have heard of them. I'm a fan. I'm not an encyclopedia of football. But we need people with the pedigree and that can demand the respect from these players. These kind of reports keep eking out and it needs to be addressed. But thank you for the super chat, my friend. it is, I mentioned when telling you my Ollie out stance, the squad quality has risen above Ollie and his coaching levels. He is not good enough, but I am not going to slander him or deny his hard work. I hear you on that. The thing with it is this: Ollie can still save himself because it appears in the same report the players want him to be successful. It almost feels like the player's message is, Ollie, just get some better coaches and this could all be okay. I know Ollie wants to be loyal to his coaching staff, but there comes a point where you have to cut those apron strings and you have to be a little more demanding. You have to be a little bit more demanding. Thierry, how much coaching do world-class players actually need? I don't even often think it's always... They do need coaching, they do need help, and they do need support. Players are bred to take instruction. If players start going off and doing their own thing all the time, you don't want them at your club because that in the long term is going to be bad. That's where player power stems from, and it isn't healthy. They want better coaching sessions. They want more intense sessions. Sometimes it's not even what they're being instructed to do. It can often be more along the lines of wanting to understand the game a little bit better. How well things are explained to you are very key as well. Communication is key. And if the players don't understand what they're meant to be doing at times, that kind of confusion can lead to things. But they definitely need coaching. Otherwise, Man City wouldn't need Pep. The treble winners wouldn't have needed... If the coaches are not important, then we shouldn't celebrate great coaches. So that's what I would say to your point there. If they're not needed, then why would we celebrate brilliant managers? You don't need anyone could be a manager then if world-class players don't need coaching. Of course they do. Pycroft here says, for the Glazers, it's just top four. Ollie delivers that. He stays. He did a good job of repairing things. But for United to win trophies, you need a great manager or wait for Ollie to get better. The question is, how much are the fans and players willing to wait? And Pycroft, you're right there that I think the players leaking this information is good. It isn't overtly damning, but Ollie out could be pending. They may get to a point where they go, enough is enough is enough. We want to win. We want this from our players to a degree. We want this from a degree from our players. There are times where you want your linen to be washed, your dirty linen to be aired privately, and I totally understand that. But there does become a point, a little shot from the bow. Listen, come on, let's get this sorted, please. We need it. If there's no response, then I wouldn't be surprised if the players stop playing. Because if Ollie goes, the coaching staff go, and they want to win. They want to win. Ollie is a cheerleader, just bringing good vibes after the Jose mess. See, that's where I think it's disrespectful. Because those same players that want better coaching respect Ollie. And that's where I try to listen to these reports and read them in full. Of course, you can check the report out. It's on The Athletic. I've shared the link in the description. It's an in-depth look at Man United. It isn't a 3-page piece in the Daily Star. It's a legitimate in-depth piece that I've read this morning in The Athletic, and it's worth reading. It covers the good, the bad, and the indifferent with Ollie. Just saying he's a cheerleader is wrong. These players respect him. Some players even, as far to say, love him. They love how he treats them. They love how he manages things. It's just the coaching. There's this element here. It's the coaching element that's wrong. Fix that, and maybe Man United move forward. I'm going to open up the lines now for you to come on and have your say about this morning. But make sure you're smashing that like button. Get your super chat questions in as well, please. Get those super chat questions in as well for me. Anything you want to ask, get that done. Phil Neville is better than Ollie. Maybe he is. Maybe he isn't. There's a rant that he's put in recently. I haven't actually seen it, but I've heard it's pretty funny. I'm going to go check that out. I've shared the link now. I'm just going to pin that link to the top of the live comment section for everybody. And let's keep doing some of your comments here. Where are we at? I want to try and read these. Do professional players need coaching? OFC, they need younger players. They need younger players probably a bit more than example. I think I know what you're saying here. Younger players need it more, but everybody still needs it. Everybody still needs it. If coaching isn't important, we need to stop talking about managers as being great because they're just bits then, aren't they? What are they? Do you know what I mean? They're massively important. Twisted Bubba had a mare there. He had a mare. Terry, are the United players giving 100% effort? I think so. I think so. Generally speaking, yes. I think they do. I think the way we play when we go a goal down, the way I look at it is this. There's two trains of thought here. If we only increase the intensity when we go a goal down because the players put in more effort, then Ollie needs to sell a lot of these players. If the intensity only increase after we go a goal down because Ollie instructs it to, then we know it's Ollie's instruction. I don't get the impression most of the time that the players don't work hard, especially when Ollie's job's under pressure, they tend to stand up. So I think they're bought in. I think they're working hard, but I just don't think, again, I've said it before, I've been reading a lot. I was about to mention this guy, and he's in the background. Danny Devil in the details and Rachel, very, very good when it comes to the tactical side, better than I am, 100%. And they said this a lot recently, like people talk of triangles and patterns, and they often don't really know what they're talking about. For me, when I look at Man United, it's the level of intensity that is lacking. And I think that intensity manifests itself through training. I think we're a little bit lackadaisical in games, and that's an approach and a setup in the way we attack games. But I do think the players are definitely working hard in relation to that. Zaza says, you twist things, Terry. No other player is going to say something bad about Ollie because he is just a nice, lovely guy. Imagine your boss is a nice bloke. You want him to stay too. No, my boss is nice, but he's damaging my business or my career. I'm cool. I'll speak to him first. I'll give him my feedback. I'll speak about it in one-to-ones privately. But if nothing changes and it's impacting my career, I'm going above his head. I'm going to his boss and saying, I'm sorry, I can't work under these conditions. That's life. You don't snake someone day one. You don't be like, I didn't like one thing Ollie doesn't do. I'm going to run to the press. That is a snake coward move. I'm going to run to the Glazers. Snake coward punk ass move. But after 2.5, 3 years, if you're like, listen, Ollie, we've told you 100 times this isn't good enough. We need it to be better. If he doesn't listen, there comes a time where you have to go above man's head. Have to. If you don't do that, Zaza, in your life, I'm afraid to say this, you may struggle to be successful, my brother. You may struggle to be successful. You've got to grow that backbone now, my guy. Have to grow that backbone. Danny Devil on the details. It was just about to come on. He disappeared. He was out the back. And he disappeared. He'll be back on in a minute. Next on the show, we're gonna get Abdul on to have his say. We've got a super chat first that says McKenna, Carrick, and Phelan work on structure, patterns, and tactics, right? Their level are borderline top 4. Well, they are top 4. We've made top 4. Surely getting better replacements there would be the difference needed for the next level. Potentially. And there's a part of me that would prefer us to try some new coaches maybe before sacking Ollie. Maybe. Because the irony is if you sack Ollie, you get new coaches as well. So if Ollie feels like his job's coming but then they're just giving these guys new contracts. It ain't going to happen anyway. Like it's a Fugazi point, but they're here to stay. Danny Devil in the details is here. What are you saying, mate?
Listen, you know, I live for this type of conversation. I love this type of stuff. I disagree with your interpretation of the article. I think people are overreacting to one particular paragraph when they say they want elite coaches leading. But there's another paragraph saying that they respect his setup. So if they respect the setup, and it also said, but subconsciously, that he can't get them to push through certain barriers. So I don't think the article is saying that there's a problem with the standard of coaching. And I'll tell you why as well. When it comes to the coaching, there are 4 lines dedicated to Michael Carrick and 4 times as many to Kieran McKenna. And they called him schoolmastery, which means like you're an authoritative teacher. This is a few players, in my opinion, who are not happy with his approach, with how he communicates with them. That's what it looks like to me. Because at one hand, we need elite coaches to lead, but we respect what you do. If what you do is not good, no one's going to respect it. So I disagree with that interpretation. And for me, I think Ollie's actually now throwing these coaches under the bus. Because if you want to pass in midfield and the team is built to do that, why would you play McFred? If I was just to say to any football fan, describe a brand of football with Fred and McTominay as the midfielders and describe a brand of football with Matic and Donny or Matic and Pogba. you're going to give me two complete descriptions of football, not the same one. For me, if Ollie wants to save his job, he needs to ditch McFred and play better football players that we have at the football club in central midfield. And all of a sudden, trust me, you will see a better brand of football. So for me, the bigger problem is Ollie's team selection, not these coaches. And unfortunately, I don't know any manager who's made changes mid-season to his coaching staff. You know, that's not going to change. It's the only thing that can change is us seeing two midfielders, one at McTominay who's only good enough to be fourth choice at the football club, and Fred who's not good enough to even be here in the first place.
Do you know what's funny? A lot of people here saying you're defending Ollie, and I'm like, I just heard you not defend Ollie. In fact, I just heard you slam Ollie by saying he's throwing his coaches under the bus.
You know what it is, Terry? People don't like listening to nuanced points. They see something, it confirms their bias, and they run with it. If there is an article that says we want elite coaches leading, then the same article says we respect his setup because it's good. How can you say then that the training drills are shit? That makes no sense. That literally makes no sense.
So for me, again, now I hear. So do you know what? Like I said, I've read the article as well, and again, everyone will interpret things differently. My overarching take is that yes, they want him to be successful. Yes, they respect the setup and they're speaking respectfully. But there is clearly issues that they have. There comes with
McKenna.
Yeah,
clearly.
But
this is a McKenna attack, in my opinion.
Yeah, I get that, and I also agree with the comments. You know, at the end of the day, though, the buck does stop with Ollie because my point is at some stage, and again, I've read the article slightly different to how you've read it, and that's normal. That's life. Do you know what I mean? We could all hear the same interview, hear the words being said, and interpret it different ways. But I think for me, where it comes into play is in terms of this squad giving 100% for Ollie. There's always going to be a breaking point. And I think the breaking point is fast approaching now. The squad is elite because when you add Sancho, Varane and Ronaldo to an already very good squad, the expectation from everyone in that, even if you're a fringe player that only gets sub appearances, the expectation is we need to start competing now. And then things can sometimes escalate. So it might be, we're not quite happy with how McKenna does these two or three things. But then when you don't feel like your team is progressing as fast as you can, we've all done this in the workplace. You sometimes start to over-focus on this issue being bigger than it really is. But these things manifest and grow. And this is where Ollie's got to get the management right here. Because if we don't have a good run when we come back from this international break and lose quite a few of them games, I think certain players will start to knock on doors of board members to say, this isn't on, because the players will always, right or wrong, they'll always try and pass the buck onto the management. They always do. And clubs will always go for management and coaching before they go for these players. So it's going to be interesting to see how this kind of transpires, you know?
Yeah, again, you know what's funny? So when I saw this in the United group chat, the first thing I said was, I read a similar article last season at this exact time in October, because his job was on the line. And in the article, it literally says, these are the criticisms that come up when results aren't going well. If results go well, you won't see the story again until results are bad. That's the reality. But you're a good person to talk to about this, Terry. This is what people need to understand about the McKenna thing. If you have been fast-tracked to a job, and anybody who's got professional experience will understand this, the second you have a problem with that manager who's just been fast-tracked, the first thing you're going to say is you're going to question his credibility. You're going to question his CV, because you know he literally is not even that more qualified than you to do the job in terms of the amount of experience he's got. And that's what I think is happening with McKenna. A few players are looking at him saying, yeah, your training sessions are cool and all that, but the way you talk to me like I'm a kid. We're not in school. I don't like your school mastery approach. That's what I take from it, to be honest with you.
Of course. And I think there's this element of, it's one of the, you know, when you talk about Zidane maybe coming in, if Zinedine Zidane comes in, I know he wouldn't do this, but maybe he would. If he grabbed Paul Pogba by the scruff of the neck, literally, and shouted at him, that's cool because it's Zidane, bruv. Like in my old sport, if we had like a masterclass, we had someone coming to do a seminar. Every now and then, the team GB would book some really weird guy who never even achieved what half of us in the room had achieved, and he was trying to teach us stuff. And I'm not saying you can't be a good coach, having not been a good competitor, but he would like sit there and rip apart all our games, and we were like, bro, no one really respected him. But there are other guys that we've done masterclasses with. It didn't even matter what they said. They said, right, what's going to help your game is going outside and washing my car. I'd gone out and washed his car. I wouldn't have a bit of wax on, wax off. I'd have done it because you have this undying respect. And I think Ollie, listen, we saw those stats that came out yesterday about the best goal assist per minute ratios in the Prem, and like Who's run the best on there? Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Like, Ole's respected as a football man. He's respected as a person. My fear for him, just for him, and maybe it isn't a fear for me because I kind of feel like Ole's at the end of his tenure for me. It's these players might turn very quickly if there isn't that good run of results, as you just said. Like one of the sentences here that really stood out to me was even Ole's most ardent defenders recognize his teams still lack clear structure, style, and consistency of performance. And that's the thing for me. You've even seen it from a punditry point of view.
Gary Neville.
Gary Neville and people just going, do you know what? I've defended him to a point, but there comes a time where you've got a squad this good where you have to improve. And if you don't improve, it's exactly. Yeah. And that's for me. That's what a lot of people gone, Terry, I can't believe you've gone so quickly on Ole this year. I expected to see us better with, even if we haven't got a system and we haven't got a pattern and we haven't got a shape. Even with these players, I expect to see us perform better. And what I'm noticing more is we're drowning. And maybe that drowning thing is because of there's even more elite level players in there now looking at McKenna and thinking, who are you?
Exactly.
And
his
maybe
boss
that's
doesn't
why.
have the credibility either. That's the thing. If it's Sir Alex Ferguson and he said, these are my coaches, you're going to respect them. Like even Roy Keane had a problem with Carlos Queiroz. He told us about it, but he respected him. But that's because Sir Alex Ferguson's the manager. If you don't respect the first team coach and his boss doesn't have no credibility at the elite level, when there's problems and results are bad, this is what you're going to get. This is what you're going to hear.
Mate, I hear you. Danny, top man, thanks. I'm about to say, been a while, been a minute since you've been on. It's good to have you back on the show, my bro.
Thanks, mate.
And I'll speak to you again soon. Top man, thank you. Cheers, thank you. KJ's coming on soon. Before that, man like Mo's here to have his say. Interesting take. I mean, that's a powerful line that. Even Ole's most ardent defenders are now sort of not against him. That would be the wrong way of putting it. But something ain't right. Something isn't right as far as I can read it. But everyone's going to interpret it differently. Check out the article. It's in the description below. Mo's here with me now. What are you saying, Mo?
Hi, Terry. Yeah, this is for me the beginning of the end for him now. I think all the balls are starting to get placed. He always starts with this, even with Mourinho. If you look at the pattern, they're always the same pattern. The players, the results don't go your way. The players start looking at the manager thinking, hold on a minute, something's wrong here. Players talk amongst each other, and then eventually the football gets absolutely awful. And then the senior players start saying, look, footballers, they're looking at Liverpool, they're looking at City, and they're thinking, hold on a minute, why can't we play this kind of football? We look at our team. You got Pogba, Sancho, Bruno, Ronaldo, Greenwood. You got all these great players there, but yet we seem to play a negative park to bus football. For me, I'm surprised that it's come out now at last, but it's a good thing that it's coming out now. He's out of his depth. He's tactically inept, and that's not us being disrespectful to him. He has done a great job of bringing the club back to some sort of a repair, and now it's time to hand the keys over to an elite manager like Zidane, Conte, Ten Hag, or Pochettino, someone who's established. But this can't continue, Terry. This won't continue. My assumption is I think he'll be gone. He'll be sacked by the end of the season, or it'll be a mutual consent where, look, we don't want to sack you, but you have to leave. Or it's going to get to the point where they're going to have to pull the plug. It can't continue like this, Terry. It cannot continue. You can't play McFred and McTominay week in, week out. It can't. It's impossible.
No, I hear you. And you know what for me, though, stands out massively here? And I'm seeing a lot of people saying, but Terry is going to stay. He's going to stay. There's also a part of me that hopes he does. Because if all this is going on and the players throw their toys out their pram and this becomes worse and the results go wrong, if we maintain top four, but all this is happening and they keep him, then it should be the proof everyone needs. As much as all these problems are real, there's one group of people that control this, and it's the bosses at the club, the actual managers at the club, the Glazers and the board. And I'm intrigued to see what's going to pain me is I have this little feeling in my gut that we are going to watch all this unfold
again.
All the warning signs are there, and if he misses out on top four, then they sack him.
But Terry,
and my fear factor is if you do it now, or you make some of these changes now, you may save our season. It may be successful.
We've seen this with Van Gaal, Mourinho. We've seen it's the same kind of storyline. It always happens like this, where things start getting dropped and dropped and dropped. My honest opinion is I don't think he can turn it around, Terry. If you look at history, Terry, at Manchester United after Sir Alex, no manager has ever turned it around, Terry.
Mate,
No one.
I hear you, and a lot
He
of
could be
people
the first, but
and
I
a lot of
doubt
people
it.
and a lot of people here are saying, Terry, stop defending Ollie. I'm not defending
We're not
him.
defending Oli.
All these things, whether it's McKenna or Carrick or whatever, Ollie's got an opportunity here to do something. Ollie can make some changes now to his back. He can. Today, he can sack McKenna and bring someone else in. He can do that.
Terry, my advice to him would be if I was to give him one piece of advice, I'd say, look, this job is a once in a lifetime job. No one gets this job. This is a once in a lifetime job. Look after yourself. Don't be loyal to no one. Be loyal to yourself. If you want to play the high press brand of football, go out there and get the best attacking coaches. But if you stay on this shit, you will get sacked.
And that is a point I was about to make. Ollie, right? The buck still stops with Ollie because he is in charge.
There's still time.
If Ollie doesn't make any changes, then the buck sits with the ball because they're just allowing this to happen.
This is the dream job. You're not going to get this job ever again in your lifetime.
Exactly. But this is the thing in life, though. Sometimes in life, you have to be ruthless. Sometimes in life, I always tell this story. I sacked my own brother from a job because he wasn't delivering what I needed to keep my job. And it's like, bruv, you've got to go. You've got to leave because you're not good enough at this job.
One last thing, Terry.
Ruthlessness.
One last thing, Terry.
Yeah.
Go and ask all the managers that have been sacked from Man United. Moyes, Van Gaal, and Mourinho. Especially the Moyes. If Moyes could do things differently, he would have. But once you get sacked from Manchester United, Terry, it's very rare that you get a top job. Yeah, Mourinho went to Spurs, but it's not a big elite club. You don't get, for some reason, after Man United, if you fail at Man United, you don't get a big job. Never.
I hear you, mate. Listen, Mo, top man, thanks for coming on and having your say. Thank you. Bye. Thank you. Listen, I'm not savage. Feeding my family is the most important thing. And I know my brother is part of my family, but he was affecting my kids. It's got to go. Sacked. But he had opportunities. Things he could have done to turn it around. He didn't do them. Didn't listen to the feedback. Had to go. KJ's here. What you saying, bruv?
Yo, I'm confused. Not with the article or nothing like that. Just some of the people in the comments. I'm confused. It's like to want Ollie gone, you have to berate him. You have to overly criticize. You have to say he's the worst thing that ever happened since Hitler. Like, you don't have to be like that to want Ollie gone. This discussion isn't about, do you think Ollie is good enough? Do you think he's going to win the Premier League? It's legit just about, if he is to save his job, if you want it or not, if you want that to happen or not, what does he need to do? And this article is showing that there are slight issues, if not major issues, within the coaching team. And if Ollie wants to save his job, if I want that, I personally don't want that. But if he's going to save his job and make Man United successful, he needs to sack his current coaching staff and bring in new ones.
Listen to this paragraph here. More than one well-placed source insists that McKenna commands respect from players, though through the manner of his setup. So respect is there. But concede that when he asks them, as in the players, to push past a comfort zone, they subsequently question his pedigree. So that, for me, again, there's two things here. There's either Ollie has to stand up and say to these players, you listen or you go, so lay down the law, or if they're right to question his pedigree because he isn't behaving right, he isn't managing them, as in the way McKenna's approach is wrong, then he replaces McKenna. That there is literally that paragraph there, and I know we all seek confirmation bias, but that paragraph there, when he asks them to push past their comfort zone, they subsequently question his pedigree. That's why Manchester United are hitting a bar. That is why we don't get over the line, because when we need to go to that next level, from a setup point of view, an intensity level, a mentality angle, whatever it may be, the players are not 100% bought into everything that's going on. So there's two options. You change what's going on, bring in better coaches they respect, or you change the overall thing. Or you get rid of the players that are not respecting it, but they're not going to do that. That never happens. That never happens.
He's not going to, if Ronaldo's not respecting Ollie, they're not going to be like, well, see you later, Ronaldo. We're picking Ollie over you.
It's at the moment, this is the thing. For me, what I've read in this, and people will read it differently, what I feel this says is they respect Ollie, but not everything that's in place. The problem is at some point, these players will lose respect for Ollie because he isn't fixing what they're unhappy with. It's like any grievance. If your staff come to you with a grievance, the way this person behaves, the toilet ain't flushing, there's no fresh water in the water machine, whatever it is, you always get these little complaints, right? Or we're not happy with how the assistant manager is behaving. That's probably a better example here. Terry, we don't like how the assistant manager talks to us and treats us. I'm still giving respect. But if I don't fix these problems in a timely manner, and even make the assistant manager better, make sure there's fresh water, and ensure that there's, the hand dryers are working in the toilets, there comes a point where the staff lose respect for me. And that's what I feel like we're heading to here. That's what I feel like we're heading to. Yeah,
it's slowly but surely. I fully agree with Mo in terms of the final pieces are lining up. I don't think that's the case because, again, like Danny said, we've seen these articles before last year and the year before that. We've seen these kind of situations before, and the difference between the Mourinho's and the Van Gaals is the players are fighting for Ollie. They will fight for Ollie like as much as they can. So I don't think it is done yet. Like, I don't think he is flipping finished yet. He's on the way there, but there's still life in this team for him. And that line where it says they want him to succeed is a very important line. Like it's not like the players didn't want Mourinho to succeed because they didn't like him. They want Ollie to succeed, so they're still going to fight for him. So we're going to have a little bit of a while before we start to see downing tools, players revolt, all these different things. That's a while down the line right now. So as much as I want him gone, as much as I don't think it's good enough, we're going to have to just be patient and wait and hope in the short term, he does improve and does get better because these players ain't giving up on him yet. And that's more important than us. That's more important than us giving up on him. Because they're the ones playing for the manager.
No, I agree. I'm sort of in the middle, really, sitting on the not a fence, but I agree with Mo. I believe this could be the beginning of the end. It's all about what's going to happen in those next like 4 games. Sorry, in these next 5 or 6 games. I think that's where we're going to get our answers. I feel like if Man United don't get a number of positive results and performances, I think the escalation into players turning is going to be very, very quick indeed. Because, again, in the same article, players are like, oh, I'm not putting sugar in my coffee anymore because of Ronaldo's standards and the way he's come in. And I know rival fans hate that talk. They're, it's nonsense. It isn't. There is a mentality shift at the club. Players want to win again, and they feel like they've got a great opportunity to. When there's an opportunity to succeed and you feel there are certain things getting in your way, legitimately, I think things can turn quickly. But everyone's going to have a view and an opinion on that. Look, this is the end of the live stream for us today. Make sure you come back and leave some comments on this stream when you're done. I'd love to hear what you think and feel about this story from The Athletic. The link is, of course, in the description below. I'm back at 4:30 today with Lee Gunnar. Straight Facts is back again. We're going to be talking a lot of things today, including Emil Smith-Rowe and Saka. Are they 2 of the top 10 best talents in the world? It's going to be a great show later. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God